We're starting off today with a five-star quarterback again, but it's not Arch Manning this time. The rumors I heard rumors at least early on in the cycle that Billy Napier and this Gator staff were kind of not all in on the 2023 quarterbacks. And then now we've got Arch. And now we've got Jaden Rashada. Monday, his dad said that they're going to take a visit to Gainesville. What is your evaluation of Jaden Rashada so far?
I'm a big fan of him, Brandon. Got to see him in Dallas in person, and I've obviously have seen a ton of video on the California native, 6'4", 6'5", just a loose and live arm. He's got a relatively pure motion for a kid that big, and he's got enough athleticism and mobility to challenge you outside the pocket, at least as a scrambler. So there's just a lot to like about this kid's game. He's a big time down the field thrower. He's confident. I think, talking to him about how great this quarterback class is, and he kind of smirks at you like, yeah, but I'm the best one, and you love that. You want that. You don't want a kid who kind of concedes in any way, shape, or form. And I think that paired with his breakout year in 2021 has basically every school in need of a quarterback circling the wagons on his recruitment, just trying to find out anything they can about Rashada's game. And of course, this week has been really busy for him. As you mentioned, Florida's trying to set up an official visit. He announced the top seven with the Gators in it. And he also announced a June 18th verbal commitment date. So now there is a shot clock, if you will, 1 month away for the end of Jaden Rashada's recruitment. He's only taken one official. So at least four schools, in theory, are going to get him on campus and probably are going to feel good about their standing once they do get him on campus, because that top seven will really be more of a top five, because obviously where you've taken those official visits to, those programs have a little bit more interest. So Gators fans should be cautiously optimistic with this thing. It's early. The interest is relatively new compared to every school on that list besides A&M, which is another new one on Jaden's radar. So I do think he'll take the trips to Gainesville and College Station, because he hasn't been before. He's been to LSU, he's been to Ole Miss, Oregon, Miami, some of the other schools on the list. So I think he'll make it a priority to get to the campuses that are under new management in this case, or that he hadn't been to, like Jimbo Fisher and Texas A&M. So a lot of twists and turns remaining, but obviously a very important recruit with a commitment date in mind.
Yeah, that was actually like my next question was, he's got that June 18th you called shot clock, that day where it's Florida, LSU, Oregon, Ole Miss, Cal, Miami, and Texas A&M. And so it's not too little too late situation. It's not too late to be a legit player here.
If you're getting a visit, I say no. Jaden is a long time, a long recruited kid. Like, he's been on many visits, many campuses. He's not, just trying to take trips in my mind, especially with a commitment date a month away, right? So there's not a whole lot of time to waste. I think if he was, still nonchalant about when he wanted to make a decision, then maybe it feels like, well, he just wants to see Gainesville. He's never been, and we'll see what happens. But I do think that if he locks in an official visit in particular, I do think that it will mean Florida is a serious player. Now, are they the favorites? Do they have work to do? No, and then yes, absolutely. The Gators have plenty of work to do. The favorites are probably, I would say, Oregon at this point should feel pretty good about where it stands. Ole Miss continues to recruit him, even though they already have a verbal quarterback, or a verbal commitment from a quarterback, I should say. They're also recruiting his big brother, which is a factor in this thing. Oregon's another one recruiting his big brother as well. He's got a final three of Oregon, Ole Miss, and Virginia Tech. Virginia Tech recently got a quarterback not in it for Jaden. So if they want to play together, Oregon and Ole Miss appear like the schools to beat. But, Jaden isn't 100% tied to his older brother as well. So I think you get him on campus, you see where you stand from that point, and going forward. And you kind of keep an eye on this thing. Maybe he doesn't make a commitment on the 18th. Maybe he pushes things back. So the later the better for Florida fans. But obviously it starts with getting him on campus, which for them and Texas A&M has to be the next step to stay in the game.
Yeah, and the later the better seems to be kind of the trend with Florida, where we had that with same thing with Arch Manning. How does the recruitment and potential commitment of Jaden Rashada impact Arch Manning and vice versa, or their chances of coming to Florida?
Yeah, look, I spent a lot of time around there recently, and they're aware of all the other quarterback dominoes. We all kind of view it as everyone's looking up at Arch, but that camp, because they really don't have a timeline, they're looking at everybody else as well. Because if there's one thing we know about the Manning family is they are 100% aware of the status of their position, and two, they're aware of the overall status of college football, the NFL, and everything in between. So they're going to make a business decision. And I would be shocked if Manning ends up at a school that already has a verbal commitment at the quarterback position. I would be floored. I think there are a lot safer bets everywhere else in college football recruiting than that. And that's why I think you've seen schools associated with Arch Manning hold off, being very close to maybe getting another kid committed, and they hold off with that prospect. Alabama and Eli Holstein come to mind. Georgia with Dylan Lonergan, a couple other guys comes to mind. They could have had commitments to this point, but they don't. And I think that main reason is because of Arch Manning. So yeah, he's not going where somewhere else has already claimed that 2023 spot, in my opinion. Like I said, I'd be real surprised if he was.
Super regionals are here. NHL playoffs are here. MLB season is deep in the swing. NBA finals are here. It's knotted up at 1-1, and there is a lot of money to be made, not just betting on the sports. I mean, you could have bet on the French Open too. That's done now. Not just betting on sports, but you could bet on reality TV, award shows. I know the MTV Awards just happened like last night or Sunday night. Sorry, I'm not super hip with it. There's that. You could bet on politics, you could bet on finance, you could bet on pretty much anything. Head to the website today or use your mobile device to learn all about the trends and action. Check out BetOnline. It's where the game starts. Probably the biggest recent recruiting news with the Florida Gators is Jaden Rashada is taking his official visit to the Florida Gators. He's visiting Gainesville June 7th to the 19th with a commitment date set for June 18th. What is the general feel around Jaden Rashada and his recruiting?
It's taken some turns, right? I mean, this is a kid who, when he put out his top seven, which I'll try to rattle it off, it was Cal, because that was the one that made me scratch my head. Oregon, LSU, Ole Miss, Texas A&M, Florida was in there, and Miami was the seventh school. So I did get that right. At that time, there was a sense of, okay, well, Florida and A&M are interesting, but he hadn't visited, right? So it was like, let's reassess Jaden Rashada once he gets to Gainesville and or College Station. So then he takes the unofficial to Florida, and from really the moment he got there, my phone started to light up a little bit like, hey, Florida's got some buzz here. They feel pretty good. And that only continued. When he left the visit, I was told there's even a chance he comes back for the official. And I was like, wow, Florida's really shooting their shot with their potential QB1. So then another few days go by, and then it's confirmed that Jaden is in fact returning to Gainesville for the official visit, the 7th through the 9th, like you said, just about 10 days before he makes his public verbal commitment. So I thought that was massive for the Gators, ensuring that return trip. It looks like it could be the last visit he takes before he makes his commitment. I know he was at Ole Miss during the week. I believe A&M this weekend, and then LSU will get a trip in addition to Florida. So it'll be the last trip or second to last trip he takes overall will be to Gainesville. And obviously going back to back is big here for the Gators. So I think this buzz is very tangible. Like I said, it's something we have heard on a relatively consistent basis. The first impression went really well in Gainesville. And again, like I said at the top, this thing's had twists and turns. I think initially it was kind of an Ole Miss Miami feel. Then Oregon started to increase buzz once he got back on campus. Ole Miss took a commitment. And some of these quarterback dominoes started to fall elsewhere to the point where you kind of didn't have a great feel on who was among those seven schools feeling the best. But then in the last week or so, I certainly think Florida and LSU feel better. And then A&M's got a visit coming up for the first time too. So now all of a sudden it's kind of those three teams that feel like they could be in the best shape. And I think Oregon's got some staying power in this recruitment as well. So it's been a little bit all over the place, but when you're an elite ascending talent like Jaden Rashada is, that's become par for the course. And I think once he put his decision date out there, which was smart strategy, by the way, I think it put a lot of schools on notice. Like, we got to either, go pedal to the metal right now for this kid, or we may, lose out on a potential game changer type of recruit. So I know he's got a lot going on. His older brother's committing this weekend somewhere too. So you wonder how that could potentially factor in. Ole Miss and Miami are two schools that Big Bro is looking at, and you never know what that could mean in the end. So both of them are going to commit in the next 2 weeks, and a lot of visits are still to be had for Jaden himself. So it'll be fascinating, but there is no doubt Florida is right in the thick of it, and that's not something we were saying even a week to 10 days ago.